What's up, my friends? Welcome back to my channel. Hi if you're new here, hi if you're not. Today we're going to be reacting to more toxic life coaches on TikTok. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and let's give a shout out to my VIP channel members. Hillary Flynn, Tom Stevens, Kojo, Lisa Hance, Why Self-Help Sucks, Lisa Loading, and Pablo Eater. Thank you so much for being here. If you're interested in learning more about my channel membership, you can click the join button down below. Now let's go ahead and jump into our first video. So I figured today I would start us off with some humor, as I tend to do. I came across this video and I was on the floor laughing because it is just so freaking hilarious. So let's go ahead and give it a watch.
I can leave you a business card.
Oh my god. Wait, hold on a second. Dave is a certified professional life coach.
It's from the 80s. You look like the Terminator.
It looks like the way you're gonna fix my life is by fucking me.
Once I retired, I really wasn't doing anything. So I thought, I can be a life coach. I never went to college or school or anything for it. I just printed up 10,000 cards.
Have you coached some people?
Yeah.
What advice do you give?
Buy an apartment building.
So you're not about like spiritual or personal development, you're like just get an apartment building?
Pretty much.
What does CPPHA mean?
I looked it up in the yellow pages, and it said they are AHPPC certified. So I just ran the letters backwards and put it on there.
You put it on backwards?
Nobody knows what the letters mean anyway.
But you still also wrote certified professional life coach.
Yeah, well, that's a lie.
Okay, and then the first comment reads, "It's funny because he's just as qualified as the others are," and well, he's not wrong. I just thought that was a little bit of humor to set us up for the absolute that I'm sure we're about to experience. Okay, so the caption on this video reads, "People in the comments will try to argue that their life is actually bad though, and to that I invite you to answer only one question. How is that thought helping you to create something better?" So if that in itself doesn't speak to the fact that I'm sure something toxic is about to be said, I don't know, let's buckle up.
I'm gonna blow your mind. The past and the future, they are literally just thoughts. They cease to exist unless you are thinking about them. But as humans, we tend to think about them a lot. And how do we think about them? In really negative terms. Oh my God, I'm never gonna be able to do that. Or we reflect back on the past and think about how bad we were back then. Oh my God, I can't believe I did that. If the past and the future only exist as thoughts, which they do, they literally cease to exist until we think about them. We can just choose to have positive thoughts about them. What if every single thing that ever happened in the past was the catalyst for where you are now? What if every single thing that happens to you in the future is amazing and awesome and helps you transform along your journey? What if literally no bad things happen to you? What if something that you think was bad or will be bad is really just a failure of your own perception? This leads to complete freedom. When you realize that no bad things ever happen, that things only ever help you come to awareness about yourself, the journey is just like kind of an endless open world obstacle course for you to become more in tune and alignment with who you really are. The past and the future cease to have any particular hold on you because they are not real. And because you are a powerful creator who can exercise awareness, you can choose to actually think really positive things about both your past and your future, which will help mobilize you in creating that for yourself.
Can you say toxic positivity? And if you're new here and you don't know what the concept of toxic positivity is, let me just read this to you. So this is a definition from verywellmind.com, and it defines toxic positivity as the belief that no matter how dire or difficult a situation is, people should maintain a positive mindset. While there are benefits to being optimistic and engaging in positive thinking, toxic positivity rejects all difficult emotions in favor of a cheerful and often falsely positive facade. Having a positive outlook on life is good for your mental well-being. The problem is that life isn't always positive. We all have painful emotions and experiences. Those emotions, while often unpleasant, need to be felt and dealt with openly and honestly to achieve acceptance and a greater psychological health. Toxic positivity takes positive thinking to an overgeneralized extreme. This attitude doesn't just stress the importance of optimism, it also minimizes and even denies any trace of human emotions not strictly happy or positive. And it's my opinion that this particular creator in this particular video is essentially shaming people for having a human experience. Furthermore, it's also my opinion that videos like this perpetuate this narrative that you are meant to feel shame and to feel guilt. if you can't simply just shake off this negative mindset that you have. And this is especially dangerous in the context of mental health, because if you or anyone you know has ever suffered from anxiety, depression, neuroticism, thought spiraling, or anything of the sort, you know that you can't just simply decide to stop thinking obsessive thoughts. Do I agree that bad things only happen in our lives so that we can learn valuable lessons and become better people? No. Bad things happen because bad things happen. There doesn't always have to be some fucking lesson. We are allowed to sit in our bad feelings. Do I think it's important to learn how to process those feelings and to develop healthy coping mechanisms for next time? Sure. But to me, for her to say that the past and the future only exist in our minds really just sounds like to me that this individual has been privileged enough to never have had to go through anything traumatic or somewhat life-altering in her lifetime. And I don't really have much else to say to that other than a big yikes. Sorry, I'm just like incredibly frustrated after watching that video. That was awful. Okay, let's get into video number 2. This caption reads, "What you think about yourself is not the truth."
Stop believing your own thoughts, because your thoughts are not logical truths. They actually patterns that the brain gives you to see if you react to them. And if you still react to them by analyzing them, by checking on them, by getting into conversation with them, the brain's like, oh, those thoughts of not feeling worthy, those thoughts of not being ready yet to do your project or being good enough to have a partner must still be relevant because you are talking back. And they only seem so logical because since you were a little child, you had some experiences that might have been traumatic, and then from that traumatic experiences, you made a decision, oh, this must be true, even though it wasn't true, but because you thought it was true, then with your confirmation bias, you looked for more and more and more.
Okay, if you're someone who has experienced a traumatic situation, I would advise you to seek professional help. That's just all I'm going to say about that.
And this caused another thought to come in, another thought. And then you had a book of thoughts that warped your reality. And because it's all based on confirmation bias, you think it's so logical and true. But you actually only laser focused in one direction. And you might say, no, but people don't like me. Yeah, because you go to the gym, because you go to events and already assume people not liking you and having these thoughts in your head. And that's why you acting awkward. And then you get more of that confirmation bias. So you want to do something really radical and new, because remember, Einstein said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. You want to stop acting on the thought and emotional addictive engine and start acting on the valued action engine. This means you want to stop acting on the thoughts at all and completely ask yourself, okay, what do I want to spend my energy and my time on?
Again, it is not a choice. If you are someone who struggles with obsessive thoughts, thought spiraling, etc., we don't just get to choose to stop thinking those obsessive thoughts, because obviously I would fucking choose that if it was that easy.
What actions support my life? And then you want to mindfully do that. Now, while you're mindfully doing that, of course, the old patterns are coming up and be like, hey, are you sure? You're not ready. You're not self-worthy yet. Why are you starting your podcast already? Why are you going to the gym? Why are you going to events and smiling at people? That's where you have to show the brain that you are not acting on the old patterns anymore. And because the brain is a very efficient organ, it would be like, hey, you've been not acting on these patterns of not worthiness for months now and just focusing mindfully on valued actions. I'm a very efficient organ. I'm not going to give you these things anymore. And that's how you break trauma patterns. That's how you break these old weird belief systems. But you have to be tenacious, is the word I'm looking for, like you are going to the gym. It's a gradual improvement.
Repeat after me. If you are someone who calls yourself a mental health coach, that's what this person identifies as, you are not a trained professional meant to deal in trauma, okay? Now, I'm gonna sound like a broken record here, but this one is giving me very similar vibes to the last video we just watched. And again, if you are someone who is experiencing the challenges of thought spiraling, of constant negative thoughts, and are struggling with feelings of worthiness and so on, please do not seek help in these backyard life coach professionals. Ugh. If you don't have the financial means to access the help of a therapist, of a psychologist, because I recognize that it's incredibly expensive and it's not accessible for a lot of people, I promise you there are a ton of reputable free resources available online, and I will link some in the description of this video. Please, 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 for the love of whatever you believe in, do not fall for this toxic positivity bullshit. Okay, I apologize. I'm getting so angry making this video, which I normally don't get this emotional, but when it comes to mental health and giving people advice on their mental health, it really, really agitates me because it's just so incredibly dangerous for people who are not qualified to be working in the realms of these particular types of issues, to be on the internet, gaining so much traction, helping vulnerable people deal with situations in a way that can be incredibly dangerous. Okay, this is the last video, no caption on this one, but it is titled "One of the Most Life-Changing Tools That I Can Teach You." And this is from someone who calls themselves a JD CFP coach, whatever that means.
Here is one of the most life-changing tools that I can ever teach you as a certified life coach. You can think anything you want, and how you think determines how you feel. So right now, choose to think a thought that feels really, really good. So if you are thinking thoughts like, poor me, why is this happening to me, my life is horrible, you will feel terrible. Contrast that with thoughts like, I was made for this, it's all rigged in my favor, I can figure it out, I can do hard things, I love my life. You're gonna feel much more empowered and amazing. So my advice to you is to start thinking with intention. Think deliberately, choose your thoughts on purpose, and you will change your life forever.
And I want to call to attention the very first comment on this video, which reads, "Doesn't work that way if you have an anxiety disorder." Thank you. Again, this is perfectly fine and good advice if you are someone who has the capacity and capability to be able to choose what kind of thoughts you think. However, this narrative, like I've said over and over and over again in this video, is incredibly dangerous for people who suffer from prominent mental health issues. And I take issue with this because while on paper, a lot of these life coaches will say, well, I only work with people who are in a good headspace and who have the capacity to dream even bigger for themselves. But then what we see in practice is that many of these life coaches don't respect those boundaries, and they're offering things like shadow work, which if you haven't seen my video on that, I would recommend you watch that, along with other kind of borderline diagnoses, spaces in which they should be referring these people out to therapy, but they seem to want to help them through whatever presenting issues they have. And in my opinion, they're crossing a very fine line into a territory that should be left for people who are properly trained and properly regulated to deal with those things. Okay, all that to say, I think we all probably need to take a collective deep breath if you're feeling as frustrated as I am after those videos. This stuff really just grinds my gears. It gets under my skin because it is so incredibly harmful to people who are not in a position to be able to decipher that these people aren't experts. They don't know what they're doing. They prey on your vulnerabilities and they take advantage of people who are not in a position to be able to know any better. And it breaks my freaking heart. That's going to be it for today's video. If you have a scam story you want to submit, my Google form is linked in the description of this video. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. I'm going to leave it at that for today. Take care, comb your hair, and I will leave you with this video right here next. Goodbye.